Collecting trophies in PS4 games can be fun. It can give us some interesting things to do and a reason to fully explore a game, but sometimes these trophy challenges go a little bit beyond what is fun and end up being tedious, frustrating, or just insanely hard. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today we're talking about 10 nearly impossible trophies on the PS4. And just a quick disclaimer, we're not talking about trophies that are literally impossible to complete, like multiplayer ones where the servers have been shut down or connected to terrible games that no one bothered to get. We're specifically talking about the hardest trophies we're aware of. Also, quick spoiler warning for Red Dead Redemption 2. Starting off with Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 10, the It's Art achievement. Maybe one of the most mysterious and pointless achievements I've ever seen. This whole thing revolves around a squirrel statue. The description for this one is find a permanent home for the squirrel statue, and only 0.4% of players have actually bothered to do it. And you know that number would be a lot lower if it wasn't a game made by Rockstar. No one would do this nonsense anywhere else. So how does this one work? Well, first you need to complete 5 hunting quests. Not too hard so far, but after that you'll get a request from Ms. Hobbs. You talk to her to get a squirrel statue. What do you do with the squirrel statue? Well, if you've built John's house in Breacher's Hope, you put the squirrel statue on the fireplace mantle. Think you're done? Well, that would be an easy thing to do, but now you have to wait 24 hours and the squirrel statue disappears. So you have to look around the ranch and find it again, put it back on the mantle 5 times in a row. You put it down, wait 24 hours, it disappears, you find it somewhere on the ranch, you put it back and do it again 5 times. And you're still not done. The statue disappears one more time, but this time it always appears on top of Mount Sean, so get it up there and you're finally done with this one. Yeah, considering how much mysterious stuff is in Red Dead that isn't covered by achievements, it's kind of baffling that this is. So if you want platinum, you better get used to looking for this guy. At number 9, Crash Bandicoot Remastered's Practice Makes Perfect achievement, where you have to earn 26 relics, gold or better. I think that everybody who played Crash Bandicoot when they were kids and came back for the remasters ended up saying, this game is harder than I remember. And yeah, Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation 1 wasn't an easy game, but some of the changes made when developing the remastered version actually ended up making it a bit harder. Basically, the jumping is just a little off, making what was already a difficult challenge in the original game, getting all the gold relics, even harder in the remastered version. The achievement Practice Makes Perfect asks players to get the highest rank in time trials for every single level in the game. That might not sound so tough, but these times are incredibly strict. They require pixel-perfect platforming if you even want to get close to the gold. And you're going to have to do that for every single level. The remastered sequels have these relics as well, but they're not nearly as hard to complete. Those games give you some new moves that make getting around the levels and finding shortcuts a little bit easier. In Crash 1 though, you're stuck with the basic moveset, and the only way to do well is memorize the level and play it perfectly. Or if you're like us, you barely manage to finish the game normally, let alone complete these infuriating time trials. At Final Fantasy IX, the Hail to the King achievement, where you jump rope 1,000 times without tripping and obtain the King of Jump Rope. The original Final Fantasy IX didn't have any trophies on the PS1, but the re-release did give us a formal reason to relive the nightmare that is completing the 1,000 jump rope challenge with the Hail to the King achievement. Here's the thing, it was bad enough on the PS1, and it was bad, believe me, but this port does not make things easier. No, if anything, it actually makes it harder, as there's a slight input lag from the HD post-processing applied to the game. It's something that's already tedious and frustrating. I mean, look at it. You have to jump rope 1,000 times without making a mistake, but with the added fun of having to deal with random lag spikes. This one sucked when it came out, and it's only gotten worse on PS4, where it's an actual achievement. At number 7 is Devil May Cry 5's Worthy of Legend trophy, where you have to clear all the missions with an S rank on all difficulties except Heaven or Hell. Devil May Cry is already a pretty tough game, but this achievement just takes things way too far. I know Dante likes his parties crazy, but this is just a bad scene, man. It doesn't sound so impossible at first. Worthy of Legend is where you clear all missions with the S rank on all difficulties except Heaven or Hell. You might think to yourself, oh good, I don't have to do it on the hardest difficulty. But no, it's a fake out. There is difficulty harder than Heaven or Hell on DMC5. The truly crazy Hell on Hell mode, which makes all the enemies as hard as the previously hardest difficulty, Son of Sparta. But you die in one hit. Oh, and on top of that, no checkpoints. Remember, you can't just survive this mode, you gotta get S rank in every mission. There's really not much to say beyond that. It's just incredibly tough. At number 6 is Wolfenstein 2's Mein Leben achievement, which is where you had to beat the game on the Mein Liebe difficulty. Randomly, when you shot a bad guy in Wolfenstein 3D, they'd shout Mein Leben before crumbling to the floor. The pile of dead pixels on the ground, well, that's you after attempting what is by far the hardest difficulty-related trophy in a Wolfenstein game. The Mein Liebe trophy tasks players with beating the entire game without dying. If you die, you have to start over, your save is wiped, and all progress is lost. It's basically like an Iron Man mode from a roguelike game, except those games usually take, like an hour or two to finish? You gotta, in one sitting, finish this 6 to 8 hour game that's honestly pretty tough on normal, let alone on the hardest difficulty and, worst of all, unskippable cutscenes. Why would they put a mode like this in a game with unskippable cutscenes? It's cruel, it's unusual, and almost no one but the most masochistic bothered with getting it, and that's why it's one of the most impossible PS4 trophies. At number 5 is the Hyperlight Drifter Dash Eternal achievement, where you had to get 800 consecutive chain dashes. There's some pretty tough standard trophies in Hyperlight Drifter, but this is the most daunting. The Dash Eternal asks you to perform 800 consecutive chain dashes. These aren't regular dashes, you can't just hold a button down and keep going for this one. You need to tap the dash button at a very specific rhythm in order to make it a chain dash. Trophy hunters offer many tips for pulling this thing off. You need a zen-like calm and concentration if you want any hope of getting this trophy. Actually doing it doesn't end up taking that long, only a little more than 5 or so minutes, but actually pulling it off is the hard part. The rhythm of the taps needs to be absolutely perfect if you want to keep the combo going, and even though it builds up fast, 800 is still kind of, a lot. Rhythm challenges tend to pop up a lot in the hardest of the hard trophies, and for good reason, they're just the worst. At number 4 is Friday the 13th's Getting the Platinum. I know I said I wouldn't really do any boring, grindy multiplayer trophies on here, but oh my god. The multiplayer completion achievements in this game are so incredibly bad, they have to be seen to be believed. Like Head Counselor, play 1,000 multiplayer matches as the Counselor. The Final Chapter, play 1,000 multiplayer matches as Jason. Gotta kill them all, kill 13 counselors. To get 2 of those trophies, you need to play 2,000 multiplayer matches. And remember, you can't just pick what way you want to play in a public match, so your chances of being the big man are actually pretty slim. Maybe if you're able to get together 8 really dedicated friends, they can help you out by playing in private matches and letting you pick Jason, but they're gonna have to be really good friends. That's 1,000 matches. And then you'd still need to do 1,000 matches as a counselor. So let's do the math. The match takes about 20 minutes, right? But if Jason kills everybody, the game's over, the survivors escape, game's over, so let's be generous and just say the average match time's about 15 minutes. So 15 multiplied by 2,000 matches is 30,000 minutes, or 500 hours, or more than 20 days of in-game time just to get these trophies. And remember, that's the perfect scenario where you always get to play as Jason when you want to. Yep, this is just a lame multiplayer trophy, but maybe it's the lamest, most impossible one out there. And for that, it really just does deserve some special recognition. At number 3 is I Am Bread, which is a joke game, but just like Bossa Studios' other game, Surgeon Simulator, getting the Platinum Trophy for this game is an exercise in pure pain. No, actually, you know what? It's much worse. Because sure, in Surgeon Simulator, the achievements basically require you to be perfect in a game where you can barely control your arms. But at least you have arms. In I Am Bread, you are bread. Just moving at all is a struggle, and of course, it's not about completing each level. You have to get top rank in every level, and doing that basically requires a level of inhuman bread manipulation that borders on the supernatural. It's an intentionally goofy game designed to frustrate you, and yeah, it pulls it off pretty well considering how nearly impossible it is to complete, let alone get any of the A++ trophies in. Hardcore Dark Souls and Bloodborne players who beat those games with their eyes closed struggle to get these things. So what hope do the rest of us have? At number 2, the Elder Scrolls Online Emperor achievement, which you get by getting the number 1 on the PvP leaderboards. Getting trophies in Elder Scrolls Online usually isn't too hard. Most of them are pretty standard exploration and quest completion trophies, but this is just crazy. The Emperor trophy requires you to be at the top of the PvP leaderboard to get it. Yeah, you heard me right. The top ranked numero uno head honcho is who you gotta be to get this achievement. You don't have to stay on top, but you literally have to be the best PvP player in the game for at least a few seconds in order to platinum the game. Outside of the fact that leaderboard achievements are terrible, because usually in a game's lifespan, leaderboards are one of the first online features to go, but the fact that you have to be the absolute top player in the world in Elder Scrolls Online to get an achievement is kind of ridiculous. These days, it's not an absolutely impossible prospect like it was when the game first came out. The game has a lower general population and less people are playing PvP, so the skill ceiling isn't quite as high, but still, that's kind of asking a lot from someone for a simple achievement. Oh, yeah, you just have to be literally the best. Great, got it. And finally, at number 1 for Crypt of the Necrodancer, the lowest of the low, which, I mean, let's just get into this. If you're online and looking for the hardest trophies, it seems like it's impossible to not end up coming across this game. It's often described as the hardest platinum ever. This rhythm-based roguelike is already really tough on its own, even on normal 1 or 2 slip-ups, can make you dead in seconds. And just finishing the game is an ordeal, but what if you want to get some of the achievements? Well, I hope you don't value your time, because it's gonna take a while. Lowest of the Low is arguably the hardest trophy, asking players to complete an all cares run, obviously all characters to the lay, without picking up any items other than gold. That's 9 characters you have to play the entire game through back to back without stopping while avoiding items. The game isn't long, but still, that's 9 characters back to back. It takes about 3 to 4 hours to complete an all characters run, and you have to avoid items, which, you know, look at the game. They're everywhere. It's 3 to 4 hours of intense concentration, and you pretty much have to play perfectly the entire time. I don't know why so many of these games demand literal perfection for trophies, but yeah, to the few people who can actually manage it, my hat it's way off to you. I took my hat off, I threw it as far as I could. Hat is off to you. I cannot. That's all for today. What were some crazy trophies that you just could not get or spent forever getting and just go, wow, that was unnecessary? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. And if you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe and don't forget to enable all notifications. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.